Hey everyone, and happy Friday Night Live. I do apologize. I am, 1 minute late. Dean told me, he said, watch your time because I've been busy around here today. And invariably, um, I was a minute late. So sorry about that. Been doing a few things today, and a lot of times when I'm busy doing stuff around here, I will listen to different homesteading channels, things like that, that I really respect for their honesty, for, just the way they live intentionally, things like that. I'm trying to get out of this glare again. Happy Friday, Lynn. So I had a method to my madness of wanting to talk about food tonight. And actually, Lynn, I have you at the top of my list for a question. I have been going through, and I apologize because I'm trying to look at 3 different things at the same time. I have been going through and doing a freezer clean out, cook off, just all that stuff, anything that's been pushed back, to the back of my freezer. I did not participate in any so-called pantry challenge this year. I just, it's something that we kind of do year round anyway. So, but regardless, I found a few things that I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with yet. It's good food. Everything in my freezers are good, but I have a quart container. I think it's a quart. Yeah. Of strawberry puree. Now, I thought I saw you or heard you say that you made some sort of strawberry lemonade? It was some sort of juice concentrate. And if it is, I would love, love, love to have your recipe, because that is something that would be great to have in the summertime. I do make my sweet basil tea, but to have something, with a juice would be fantastic. Lynn says, yes, strawberry lemonade concentrate. Oh, if you could email me and let me know how you do that, I would greatly appreciate it, because that would take care of some lemons that I have and some strawberry puree that I need to do something with. And you can only have so many jars of jam, right? And I do have a 5-pound bag of strawberries left in my deep freeze. And so that's probably what I'm going to do with those. I'm going to turn those into strawberry jam. So let's see here. Okay, you think it was a ball recipe, Lynn? Yeah, if you'll still send it to me. I mean, I will look in my ball cookbooks tonight. I just don't remember seeing anything like that in there before. But appreciate it. You are the best. You really are. Not sure if Mom is going to join tonight. I texted with her just a little bit ago, and she had just gotten in from the store, and, back was kind of hurting, and she had a lot of stuff to put away. So, and I'm hoping that Anthony will join us. He wasn't here last week. We had some new people last week, but Anthony wasn't here. And the reason I wanted to shout out to him is that he's a photographer, and some of his videography was showcased on the local news channel, his local news channel. And I have subscribed, my brain, I was getting ready to say prescribed. I've subscribed to his YouTube channel, and I saw it on there, and I was like, that is amazing. How fantastic. He just has all kinds of talent, and he's worked in for some major, major corporations. And so I feel like it's almost having a celebrity in our midst. But anyway, So, I wrote some things down because as I was listening to some of these channels that I get what I consider valuable information from, I wanted to share it with you guys because it really got me thinking. Now, I guess I've gotten pretty cynical and I don't put much credit into like news stations anymore. I really don't. Um, so I rely on other people, their experiences in different parts of the world, the United States, and telling me what's going on in their area. And I kind of put stuff together. Dean will read through the highlights, on his homepage when he turns his computer on. I will sometimes, just take a look, but so much crap. But if it's something really, really high profile, I may take a look, but I don't believe half of what I read anymore. And the stuff that I have read, it's so discouraging and so upsetting that I'm just like, it's not worth the stress. It's not worth the day could take off my life from the stress. Anyway, so talking about food, freezer clean out, cook off, I have some peach puree and blackberries, raspberries, strawberries that I need to do something with. I have 5 pounds of all of that. And then I have some leftover cranberries. Thank you, Lynn. I saw that my phone lit up while it was sitting here next to me, and I saw that you sent it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. But I thought about taking the leftover cranberries because I made homemade cranberry sauce, and I don't make it like the liquidy form. I make like the gelled cranberry sauce, and I have probably 8 jars in the pantry. So I have like a couple pounds of cranberries left. So I thought I'd make some cranberry juice. I'm going to try that for the first time. I love cranberry juice. And then of course, when I can apples, when I use the apples, I reserve the juice that they're sitting in. It may have been like a very, very light syrup is usually what I do. Put in my raw apples, and by the time that it processes and it sits on the shelf, it's homemade apple juice and it's fantastic. I use it in all kinds of applications, but I thought if I made some homemade cranberry juice that I could mix it with some homemade apple juice and water, and I thought that would be really good. I'm not sure Dean will drink it. I've never seen him drink juice like that. But I love cranberry juice, cranberry apple juice, any of that kind of stuff. All right. So, blackberries, raspberries, not sure what I'm going to do with yet. Peach puree. You guys got any ideas? Let me know. Any ideas other than jams? I don't have any raspberry jam. I have some blackberry. I have tons of pear jelly. I guess I can use it in some cooking applications. But anyway, so this is kind of where my brain's going. I'm kind of needing to clean out my deep freeze and my upright freezer here in the house. And I'm trying to find ways to put this food up in different ways other than freezing, because I know that I'm going to need freezer space later on in the year. And I need to stop being lazy, and I need to get the whole turkey out of the deep freeze, defrost it, and can it. I love having meat on hand. It is so convenient. I do a lot of times cook up ground beef, onions and peppers, and then I put it into individual bags, put it into a great big bag, and stick it in the freezer. Well, I did that recently, and that's kind of defying the purpose. of having freezer space. So I'm going to, the last roll of ground beef I have, I'm going to go ahead and can it. I think I've already done a video on canning meat, I'm pretty sure. So I won't do that. Um, so, Lynn, I know that you and you guys hunt elk, moose. Do you can any of that meat? Because I have not done enough of my due diligence to see if I can venison. I'm sure you probably can. I've never done it, but I have a lot in the deep freeze, and I would really like to find another way to store that other than it taking up a whole shelf and a half in my deep freeze. So if you would let me know, that would be great. And I'm going to look at my ball cookbooks because I've never seen a recipe for canning venison. Now, I will say that I'm not one of these, I'm not a rebel canner. I'm not. I am a tried and true, tested. I follow a lot of the ball recipes, a lot, because that's how I taught myself how to can several years ago. But I also pay attention to like things of our grandparents and stuff like that, that the way they used to do things. And, you know, it's just as good. And I'll be honest with you, following government guidelines for my life has become very unappealing. And so I put some, but not a lot of credit into it, just for the simple fact that they change things up so much, you know? So what is it? You know, make up your mind. And supposedly it's all just for because they found better information. I don't buy that because we've had good information about stuff in the past. They change it and everything gets poisoned and, you know, whatever. That rabbit hole. Julie, hey, I've been thinking about you. How are you feeling? Your family hunts, processes deer, elk, and moose, but you freeze it. Yeah. Dean hunts, and that's how we've processed the deer. But I would love to be able to can it, like I said, just for the freezer space. Yeah, I need to deal with that turkey in the freezer. Oh, moose and deer, Lynn, you do it the same as beef. Excellent, excellent. And it's probably, maybe it's a little bit easier because there's not as much fat content as there is with the beef. But anyway, getting back, Julie, you have 2 turkeys in the freezer and they will stay there. You know how to can too. I know, you know how to can, so I'm surprised, kind of. You always have a lot going on. I like raw packing the meat too, Lynn, and thank you for saying that because that leads me to my next point. Because the things that I have read about canning meat, they always want you to cook it first, always. And I don't fully understand that because it's twice cooking it, and I think it makes it more tough, or I don't know. It's not the same. So people need to remember that back in the day, it was like some great revelation when a lot of, you know, homemakers found out that about pressure cooking. Pressure cooking, it's the same thing. Pressure canning, pressure cooking. So when you're putting this raw meat into your glass jar and you're processing it at the correct weight for your altitude, you're processing it, you know, at the correct time. What I do is I still just use the same time as you would for cooked meat. And if it goes a little bit over, whatever. But you're cooking it twice. When you pressure can something, it cooks it. And every time I've pressure canned meat and taking it out of the jar later, I heat it through, but never, ever, ever have I pressure canned meat and opened it up and it was raw in the center or anything like that. Never. Um, with the ground beef. Turkey, the only way I have ever canned it is after it's been cooked because it was leftovers. I'm kind of thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do that one, but yeah. And chicken, overall packed chicken. You pressure can something, it's cooking it. I do my beans the same way. I don't, what do you call it? Cook my beans on the stove, and let them simmer and soften and do all that kind of stuff, and then put them in the jar with liquid and then pressure can them. You're going to have a jar of mush when you open it up. So I raw pack my beans, and it's super simple, and I can get a lot out of the way at one time. Let's see. Hey, Mom. I'm glad you're on. I'm surprised. I'm glad you're on, and I hope you're feeling okay. Use this time to unwind, kind of relax. Lynn, you can 40 quarts of moose in 1 year. How much would you say by weight that is? Because I know you guys are a two-person household like Dean and I are. And I'm finding that with ground beef, I fit a pound into a pint jar. And I'm just not sure that I ever use more than a pound of meat at a time unless I'm cooking, like doing some sort of batch cooking. But anyway, Julie, you're fighting off another stone. Ugh. So this is not the same one, or is it? I've been thinking about you. Your parents are okay. Yeah, mine are hanging in as well. Canning meat is too much work for you, and you don't have the space, more space in the freezer. Huh. But I have to disagree with you there. Canning meat is no big deal at all. You shove that meat into those jars, wipe it off, put the lids on, put it in the canner. You're done. Let it go. Canning meat and beans, I think, are the easiest things. The things that I think take time are tomato sauce, only because you have to cook it down. Jam, stuff that you have to pre-make, I think takes up more time. Pickle beets, stuff like that. But that's just my opinion. Moose has virtually no fat. I guess that's kind of like venison then. And I wish I'd had my phone with me yesterday, or the other day, Dean and I had to go into town. This is no lie. And I think these animals are taunting us because hunting season here is over. There were a herd. I'm not lying to you. I can get Dean on here and tell you the same thing. There were a herd of elk. It's one thing to see a herd of deer. There were a herd of elk in one of these fields out here. I swear, I think I know that they know it's hunting season or when hunting season's over. And they're just all standing around. And Dean's like, look at that. He walked the woods for, I don't know, for a week and didn't get a buck or anything. Didn't see anything except a couple does. And it's incredible. Maybe once you retire, move to Pennsylvania, you'll do some of that. Yeah, you're awful busy. You are. Yeah. Lynn, it cooks for 90 minutes. Yeah, yeah, that's right. A quart does cook for 90 minutes. I think a pint is 75. Oh, Mom, you're unwinding with a cup of coffee and just listening. I'm so glad. I should have made some. Lynn's got an awesome coffee espresso type machine thing there. I need to make it up to Canada so that I can have a cup with her. It just looks so much fun. Oh, Julie, this is a new one. Girl, what are you eating that is doing that? Or, I think you just produce extra calcium, is it, to make these stones? Dean hasn't had one since we left Virginia, but oh my gosh, when he did, he's had surgery like you, um, and stuff like that. But his always looked like some sort of something out of space, real sharp and jagged. And I think I think it was that there was too much. He had too much calcium buildup. Something I don't know, but I'm just thankful he hasn't had one since we've been out here because it's scary and they're miserable. I know they are. Yeah, Ling, you don't can meat in a quart anymore. I do them in pint and half size jars now. It's enough for 2 meals. Oh, really? Well, yeah, because I think if I had used yeah, you're right. I can get 2 meals out of that too. Yeah, it was cool to see the elk, but it was also frustrating. I don't have room for an elk in my freezer right now, but you know, um, it's still frustrating. Um, okay, so getting back to what I was saying about food and listening to other homesteaders, because I, by no stretch of the imagination, have all the answers. I have some experience now, not a ton. I listen to a lot of other people. Um, Dean and I guess, got our homesteading started when we were living in Charlottesville. I would say 2018, really, because that's when I really started investigating all the cooking. 2017, 2018, somewhere in there, where I really started investigating all the cooking and started, cooking bread, baking bread, and started doing some cooking from scratch. And I was thinking that since I was buying ingredients, that I was buying good ingredients. Excuse me just a second. Dean, will you put some water in there for me? Thanks. I thought that I was buying good ingredients, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know. And a lot of the cookbooks and stuff that I was looking at, you know, um, it just said, like, a lot of times they'll call for a bag of frozen this, or which is fine. But I would like, okay, I want to make hummus, so I bought chickpeas off the shelf, or I don't know. I just still wasn't using completely clean ingredients. So I still had some residual stuff. But as I've been listening to different people in different places, I have noticed a couple things, a couple of underlying factors, and I want to tell you this just because I want you to have the information. I thought it was great information. I actually wrote it down for myself for future reference. But do not take this and like panic or run with it, or because, remember the great 2020 toilet paper debacle? Don't do that. Um, it's just good information to have so that when you do some shopping, maybe you can buy an extra, couple. I don't know. I don't know the reasons behind all of this. I'm getting ready to tell you, but I know that I'm hearing about it. Julie, no, I did not get a new package in the mail from you. And you shouldn't be out sending me packages when you're dealing with kidney stones. I will say I had something sitting here on my kitchen table for you. I was getting ready to put it into the mail when I went to town the other day, and I don't know where it is. And it's crazy because my kitchen table is not messy. I have my planner here, and I had a couple bills, and I cannot find it. I cannot, but I will. And when I do, you will get it. Sorry about that. But anyway, um, so there's some things that are becoming in different areas difficult to source food products. Now, um, some of these I do understand the reasons behind, and I'll tell you. The first one, and it being a major one for us, is coffee. Now, I know that in a lot of regions, there's been drought, there's been climate issues, with just different weather patterns messing things up. We go through it here, we're going through it right now. Um, and then also, I think some of these are also being influenced by tariffs as well. So, but coffee is one of them. We have 10 pounds in the freezer right now. I have not seen a shortage because I get my coffee on Azure, but I have seen finally, I saw the price jump up. Whereas I was paying $16 a pound, maybe not quite that much. It was somewhere in there anyway for this is really good coffee, high quality coffee. And I think it's popped up to $18 now. So I have 10 pounds in the freezer. We're just getting ready to finish a 5-pound bag in my house freezer, but I'm going to have to get another one. That's just something you don't want to run out of. And can you live without it? Sure, sure. But, if you face any more issues, or if we do as a society, there's is something to be said for being able to sit down with somebody, talk, visit, hash out whatever emotions you're going through, and sharing it over a cup of coffee. Tea's your thing, that too. But it is a great source of comfort. I find it is. And I think it helps when you're going through a challenge to feel more normal. Hey, Tiffany. I just now saw that you joined. Tiffany from A Small Town Life is on. She has a YouTube channel. That's what it's called, or Small Town Life. You ought to check it out. I love it. It helps me a lot seeing your kids and knowing that you're in the South, and we share a lot of I think the same feelings on stuff. And you say it's always a learning process. Yes, we can always know more and do better. I'm right, though. Sometimes we have to do our best and put the rest in God's hands, but don't panic and be aware. That is exactly it. You're exactly right. Yeah. And I think that's where we are again. Um, and not because this is fear induced pandemic or anything like that. I think it's just because we're finding things out in different places. Um, I would like to know so that, if I can have that cup of coffee, that would be great. Can I live without it? Yes, I can. But it's just one of those things. And Tiffany, you're right. Put it in God's hands and, but we are responsible. We need to be responsible for doing the most we can. We can't just say, okay, I'm not going to do anything about it. I just hope that the grocery stores continue the way they're going, and it is what it is. No, sometimes we have to do a little more. Yeah, Tiffany, I'm glad we found each other through social media. Me too. The next food was canned beans. And I heard that they're getting really expensive in the stores. Like regular beans, I heard are like around $1 a can. And that organic beans are pushing like over $2 a can. And to me, that's insane. But I haven't seen anything on Azure where I get my beans. I get them 5 pounds at a time, really cheap, like $7. So that would be equivalent to what? A couple cans of beans. And I can do 10 half-pint jars, which is the equivalent to a whole can in the store. And that does not even take me a quarter of the way through those beans. So if you want a can of beans, it only takes a half a cup to do that. A half a cup of beans will make a whole can. And so you can do it drastically cheaper than if you buy it in the store. That was one of the first things I learned. Pressure canning was canning beans. Canned fish. I buy this to have on hand. I think that some of it is due to some people do the, what do you call it? The farmed fish. I won't do that because I watched this documentary one time about diseases and stuff that farm fish can get or have, and it was just too gross. I just won't do it. But wild caught is more expensive. But I think that in some areas that's what was part of the problem, was that a lot of farm fish was getting disease and stuff and just making a mess of stuff. So um, production is down on that, from what I understood. Canned tomatoes, I don't know why. But kind of like at first I was like, oh, great, because I use canned tomatoes in just about, you know, something a couple times a week. I use canned tomatoes like crazy. And I think I have 2 flats left out in storage. But I can't grow tomatoes here. I can't. It's like, okay, 2 things. You could grow them in a hothouse or a greenhouse or whatever. Yeah, you could. They don't taste the same. They just don't. Tomatoes, there's nothing like tomatoes in the South in the summer. And I don't think they cook down the same either. It just doesn't seem the same to me. We do have a greenhouse structure out there. I don't know. That's just one of the things that I have resigned myself to still purchase is canned tomatoes. So maybe I will pick up some more on my next Azure haul, because since I had 2 flats in the storage, I didn't order any tomatoes on this order. And that just closed out yesterday. So I'll be having that come up here soon. Canned fish is really starting to go up there, Mom. So are you talking about tuna, salmon? I heard that it was both of those, tuna and salmon, were going up. Because the last time I bought salmon from Azure, it was like $6 a can. And in the store here in Colorado, it was $10 a can. Julie says canned mushrooms have gotten really expensive. Really need to buy fresh and process them. Yep. I started doing that last year. But canned mushrooms. And I don't know how you do yours, but I have noticed that what made it easier for me is I would order 10 pounds at a time, and I just slice them up and, fresh, and put them on a sheet pan on some parchment paper. And I just stick it in my freezer for like 3 hours. And then I take it off and throw it into a Ziploc bag. And then that way, since I flash froze them, they won't stick together. They won't get in that one big clump. And then that way, I feel like I can use them in more applications rather than just canning them. Because when you can mushrooms, they kind of all come out the same. And if I want any to kind of hold up its texture, I think freezing those are the way to go. But I did not know canned mushrooms. God, I haven't bought canned mushrooms in so long. I didn't know they were getting high. Oh, I'm so ready for a fresh garden tomato. Oh my gosh, Tiffany, me too. I got them last year only because I went to Mom and Dad's, and I went to their farmer's market there, and I was just, I think that last week I was there, I think I had a tomato sandwich every single day for lunch. I just couldn't get enough. And it's amazing what becomes a treat when you don't have it regularly. Growing tomatoes in the South when I lived there was just, it was a rite of passage. You grew tomatoes. Doesn't matter if you needed them or not. You grew tomatoes. And man, the things that I took for granted, a 240-day growing season versus 117, which I have now. And I can't grow tomato because it's high desert. And as soon as the sun goes down, it gets chilly. So a lot of people out here don't have air conditioning because that's how chilly it gets. It'll drop 40 degrees when the sun goes down. We sleep with our windows open at night in the summertime. That's all we need. Mom, canned tuna was $3.50. What? I had oh my gosh. You didn't check the salmon. Dad likes canned corned beef, and it was close to $3 on up. Yeah, well, I don't like canned corned beef. But that's something if that's probably that, that's something you could cook with cabbage and stuff like that. I should probably have some more canned meat on hand. I don't I don't have any right now. I have plenty of meat to can, but I don't have any canned meat on hand. And I have, I think, one can of salmon left. And I know we have some tuna, but I did not realize that regular stores that it was that expensive. Oh my gosh. You usually just boil your mushrooms, Julie. So I guess that's basically the same process as canning them, because if you put them in water and put them in a pressure canner, it's just, it's pressure cooking them in water. Tiffany, you got to run to go fix supper, but you'll be back to watch the rest on replay. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining, and give those kids a hug for me. You have a great weekend as well. She is the sweetest lady, let me tell you. And I right now live vicariously through her, because she gets she goes to Dollar Tree, and she shops Azure, and she has little kids, and we don't have Dollar Tree out here. We have a Family Dollar. It's not the same. And then we have a Dollar General in New Mexico. But I typically don't drive almost an hour to go to Dollar General. So it's just little things, little cultural things that I miss. You don't like corned beef fresh or canned? I don't like it fresh either, Mom. The texture's weird. I bought it one time. Just because it was on sale or something. It's been years ago. And then when I cooked it, according to directions, I was just like, it just felt kind of spongy to me. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. So then the other one was rice. And I think one of the reasons was that a lot of our rice comes from India and Thailand. But I know India for sure. And what it is they're not exporting as much rice, because they've had a decrease in production, and they're saving it for their own people. And that's to be understood. I can't condemn a country for doing that. Why should they feed us before themselves? It's like, you have a garden, you feed your family and then share. Peanut butter. Oh my gosh, never thought I'd hear that. But the same thing. Peanuts are having some sort of quality issue, growth issue. I think in the United States, they're grown in Georgia and Arkansas, and there's been some weather issues. So I have peanut butter. I get that natural honey peanut butter, and I order it through Amazon, and it's on like a repeat for me. And so I just every month I get 2 jars. And Dean loves the stuff. And I'll eat it once in a while. We ate peanut butter so much growing up that I can only eat it once in a while. I can't have it regularly. But so I probably have 4 in storage. So I feel okay about that, because that's another one of those things we can live without. It's a great source of protein, but I don't go around eating a spoonful at a time. I only feed it a spoonful at a time to the dogs if I need them to take, a pill or something, which is very infrequent. Julie, you make an Italian stew and freeze it. Just pork pieces, potatoes, Italian green beans, although you can use regular. Last ingredient is homemade spaghetti sauce. Sometimes I have fresh mushrooms. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, I do not buy spaghetti sauce. And I was talking to Mom, and we were talking about food, because I love talking about food. And she said she couldn't eat spaghetti anymore because it gave her heartburn. And there for a while, it had years ago, it was doing the same for me. And I couldn't understand it. And so then I stopped buying sauce. And Mom, that's what she told me, that she's still buying sauce. And I started making it like years ago. And it doesn't bother me anymore. And so I think it has a lot to do with the ingredients that are in our food. I don't care what anybody says. And the scary thing is that nobody can eat 100% organically because you're relying on your sources. And number two, you're having to trust them. And number three, even organic food sometimes is exposed to stuff that, while it may not have been sprayed on it, it's still exposed to it. So that's how people, I've seen other homesteaders who like live out far where like we do, and then they'll have their blood work done during their physical, and they come up, they have like some heavy metals or some glyphosate shows up, and that's just so frustrating. I saw a couple who went through that, and they were so upset because they grow a majority of their own food, but they were living near an area where I guess they got some drift, and there you have it. I need to catch up. Lynn, can we talk about the insane price of chocolate chips? Oh my gosh. Right? Holy, it's $36 for the big bag at Costco. It's an investment. It is insane. I used to buy a 5-pound bag of chocolate chips from Azure, no problem. Kept it in a big, jar. And it was just, I dump it in my coffee. I made cookies. I just kept it on hand. It did not seem like a treat. It was just a staple. Let me tell you, I bought some chocolate chips at the holidays, 3 bags in one of my Azure orders. It was from a brand that I've bought before, so it's not a bad brand. Something was different this time, and I won't buy them anymore because the chocolate, I used it to make my, oh my gosh, my peppermint mocha coffee creamer at the holidays. And no matter how long I left it sitting on the stovetop over low heat in a double boiler, the chocolate never fully melted. And that tells me something's wrong. And it could have just been a fluke thing. I don't know. But once something like that happens, I just, I tried melting chocolate, right directly with some coconut oil in the pan. Still didn't melt all the way. And even when I finally left it sitting warm out for a while in the quart jar, still had look like shavings. So I'm not buying it anymore because if it doesn't melt, there's a problem. Julie can eat. Oh, there's Bree. Hey, you caught the flu from your husband. Oh, honey, bless your heart. Oh, your Azure order will be there Friday. Oh, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. Oh, that sucks. Hopefully you have some chicken broth you can sip on. Oh, I'm so sorry. I will point out to Julie though, that I don't even want to say it out loud because then that's always when something happens. But knock on wood, we've been well this winter. And I take a teaspoon of honey in my coffee every single morning, and we did go through all of that honey herb elixir. Just saying. You're too weak to type, Bree, but you want to say hello to everyone. Oh my gosh. Oh, my heart just breaks for you. I hope your husband's taking good care of you. Don't even worry about typing anything. You poor thing. That is so miserable. Well, we all wish you to get better very, very soon. That is some nasty stuff. And try to keep hydrated. I know that's hard. If you can't go to the hospital because you don't want to get dehydrated, it's dangerous. Julie, you can eat store-bought spaghetti sauce. You can't eat. I've been doing this thing here lately where I read things wrong. Maybe I'm going too fast. You can't eat store-bought spaghetti sauce. It's just gross. It is. I make a big pot of it, and then, of course, I freeze it. Yep, I make a big pot of it, and I can it, and it is so wonderful because it's awesome, and you get it off your shelf, just like store-bought spaghetti sauce, but it has all the good stuff in it, and it does. Homemade sauce taste different than store-bought sauce. It does not taste the same because it's not fresh ingredients. And I am not here to shame anyone about any of this, because until I had the knowledge that I have, and it took me several years to get it, I was just as guilty. And, it makes me sad because for those years that I was a single mom, I stressed all the time about buying groceries for my kids. And we did not have ideal conditions at all. And so I think that if I had had the knowledge that I have now about cooking from scratch, about just different things, cooking from scratch in my mind was making cookies or your cinnamon rolls or stuff like that, treats and things, at the holidays. But it wasn't something that, because you didn't eat like that every day. So, my kids did a lot of, lunch meat and sliced cheese, a lot of that's like highly processed, and, just store-bought bread. And I feel like that if I had the knowledge that I have now, it wouldn't have been such a hardship and such a worry for me about feeding them, because I can feed Dean and myself a lot cheaper now than it was for myself and the kids back then. And we weren't buying a lot of treats or anything like that. I tried to feed them as healthy as I could, but I didn't realize, what I was doing. I really didn't. Mommy made spaghetti sauce recently, made like a hamburger helper meal. It was good and you could eat it. See, yeah, it is. And that's what I call beefaroni a lot of times. I'll do that sometimes for a quick meal. But yeah, it is something. If you look at the ingredients in these jars and stuff, there's so many things in that they don't need. Like, I make a pot of spaghetti sauce, I jar it up. I don't need to add any emulsifiers, or, you don't need to add that crap, because sooner or later it just builds up in your system and it's not good for you. And you don't need all the salt. I don't use any salt in my spaghetti sauce. So, take away from this what you will. But when I started learning about food, I latched on to everything I could. Hey, Anthony, I hope y'all are doing well. Is your wife watching with you? I gave you a shout out at the beginning of this video. I don't know if you saw it or not, or if you just joined, because I thought it was super cool that your videography was showcased by your local news station. Of course, I'm sure it's not that big a deal to you, having worked for some of these major corporations that you have, but just like seeing that on news, like, oh, I know that guy. We're friends on the channel, on the community. So congratulations for that. I thought that was so cool. Didn't have the time. Julie, you didn't have the time to cook 100% from scratch back then. I know, but I think that if I had organized better, I think that if I had done batch cooking, like on weekends especially, that the kids were with their biological father, and some weekends, they were with him, I was a mess because I wasn't used to being without them, and I didn't know what to do for the first several years. It just drove me nuts. And I think that if I could have done like big batch cooking during that time, if I'd known how to do stuff like that, if I'd known how to can, then that would have given me opportune time to do that, instead of just, staying in a bad emotional state that I was. But I know now, and I've passed a lot of this knowledge on to Marissa. And then I'm hoping that one day my son's girlfriend will become interested in stuff like this. She's I don't know. I guess, I don't want to say like she's a career girl, but she's healthy. I mean, she's very self-conscious about what she eats, but I think a lot of it's just having the knowledge too. But I don't have much opportunity to be with them either. And we do give up fresh home cooked meals for convenience. We do, but I've noticed that the couple times that Dean and I have gone out to eat, that just recently we were out doing some business in town, and we had left early that morning. We didn't expect to be out in town that long. And so we ate lunch out. And we don't eat at crap places. We don't eat fast food, but we don't eat like really expensive places. But we ended up having to do that 2 days in a row, and he got sick. He was like, his stomach was just like gurgling and upset and stuff like that. He didn't realize. And I said, that is exactly what started happening to me when I would like get lazy and not prep my stuff. And then I'd be at work and I would grab something out, and I would do that 2 or 3 days, and then I was sick. So it changes your gut microbiome. And once you've changed that and then you mistreat it again, you pay dearly for it. Dean's letting these doggos in. Hey, Kim. Oh, good. Oh, I wanted to ask you, I was thinking about you earlier today, and just because of because of your homesteading dreams and interests and things like that, have you ever thought about like one of the things learning how to do to be canning or preserving of food in some way, shape, or form? I mean, do you cook? Do you have that type of interest? Oh, Anthony, you made a decision. You're relocating to New Hampshire or Vermont. Oh my gosh. You're moving out in April and attempting to search for. Congratulations. I need to stay up with the chat, obviously. My husband, Dean, is from New England. Well, Julie, I don't know, Sarah. We didn't have time, money, or desire to prep and cook like we do now. Yeah, kind of, sort of. I didn't have the money, that's for sure. But, once you build a pantry, it takes less money. It's just so much. The time, you're right. I didn't have the time until, my kids didn't spend every day with me. But the desire, yeah, being lazy for me. Oh, good, Anthony, you do. Didn't have help either. Yeah, I hear you, Julie. I hear you. We've known each other since our babies were pre-born, so I know, and I know you understand myself as well. Anthony, your priority has been finding land and building a home first, but the ultimate goal is to grow and preserve our own food. Okay, so I'd really like to show you guys, like, well, you might already know. I don't know what you're watching, but, I could do some canning videos that like start off with the basics to teach you. You let me know what you'd like to see. And I mean, I am just so excited for you guys. And yeah, that's a big undertaking, and it's exciting, and I hope it's everything you want it to be. And be prepared to work, my friend. But yeah, anything we can do on our end, I would love to, help you guys out. It's so exciting when somebody else, does this, gets in this lifestyle. So, okay, wait a minute. Let me go back up here. You're moving in April. Okay. So yeah, you'll be on your land to grow in the spring. That's awesome. Hang on just a second. Yeah. No, I have got the wood stove going, and it's starting to burn out. Dean was telling me no more. He's hot. Yeah, it's a little warm in here. Yeah, Mom, I didn't have the time after working all day to cook like I do now. That's the sad thing about it too, because I came home, took care of the kids, got them their bath, helped them with their, got dinner, and then, spent a little bit of time with them. And then they went to bed, and then I was packing their lunches, and then it was 10 o'clock at night. So just, the way society has become, it just sucks. Let's just say it like it is. It just sucks because it pulls us from the things that really matter the most. And I didn't see that clearly until my kids were almost out of the house. Anthony, you know some from other YouTubers, but it hasn't been our focus of education since they're so focused on finding your home. I get that. I do. Maybe toss it up, maybe toss some jobs between you and Kim. That's kind of what Dean and I do. Like when we were building out here, he took care of, being out here with the contractor and, doing the kind of work that I'd know nothing about and had no interest in. And then I would be back home and I would be taking care of paperwork or making phone calls and all that kind of stuff. It takes two people for sure. You and Kim took your first woodworking class and made your own cutting boards. Oh, that's awesome. That's so fantastic. And you know what? That is something that you're going to need. You can't have too many of them. And I told Dean last year, that's what I wanted, was a homemade cutting board. And he made me my cabinets. But yeah, that's awesome. Both of you. I don't know how to woodwork. That's how we play off each other. But that is, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you guys. You would love to have a video call with us if we're up for it. We would love to talk with you guys face to face. We're definitely up for it. Just, I'm going to put my email address in here, Anthony. And you can email me your guys' schedule and let me know. And yeah. And we will set something up for sure. Oh my gosh, Dean would love it. Dean would love it. Julie, okay. Much love to you and Dean. Your mom and dad too. Charles is finally home from work, so I got to steal a few minutes. He'll be back at it in a few hours. Oh my gosh. Tell him hello. Give him our love too. He's got a really crazy job, crazy schedule. Let me see if I got this right. Charles is sergeant over Homestead in DC. He's pretty amazing. Yes, and give Charles our love to you guys too. Anthony, got it. We'll set something up soon. Thank you. You're most welcome. Julie, yes, I got that. So good. Okay. Yeah. So he has a very high profile, stressful type job. And any chance they can get to spend time together, they need to do it. So good to hear from you, and I hope you're feeling better soon. Okay, so I left off at peanut butter. There's only 4 more. Cooking oils, they're beginning to kind of either go up in price, which we've seen by the olive oil, or you're not seeing them as much. They're not in as much production unless you're like, they even said like vegetable oil and canola oil, which, is starting to go down in production. But Azure had olive oil for $35 a gallon this time, and I bought a gallon. I did. So I wasn't going to be one of these jerks that then buys tons of it and then doesn't leave enough for other people. I bought a gallon of it. It's like a treat now. I'm very conscientious of how I use it. I don't just keep it in my oil bottle anymore. So, I've been using sunflower oil and coconut oil, and I kind of store away my avocado oil for mayonnaise. But you can also fry your bacon and save your bacon fat, and you can use it for cooking as well, and it's awesome. Anthony, you have to go to cook chicken marsala for dinner. Ooh, that sounds good. We hope to talk to you guys soon, maybe this weekend if you have time. Yeah, just shoot us an email, and that would be great. Yeah, awesome. So get creative. I suggest also what I love watching are videos back from the Depression, from, during World War II, those types of time periods. And, I used to say that I believed that I was born in the wrong time period, that Dean and I were. And I thought, because I'm just not happy with the society of my generation. Um, and I identify with a lot of the beliefs and stuff of my grandparents. And it just, you can see the change in society with each generation. But I finally realized, because I was watching somebody else, and it was like, I wasn't born in the wrong generation, because I was born in the generation I needed to be to keep the old ways alive. I saw somebody say that, and I was like, I identified with that so much, because you know what? I was talking to my daughter on the phone. Yes, mom. I was talking to my daughter on the phone last night, and I was listening to her and her woes about, where things stand for, she is Gen Z, and how life is for them, and you know the feeling of she'll never be able to buy her own home, and just, she was real kind of down on things. And I encouraged her to do some of these things. She last year, she lives in an apartment, and she has a townhouse, and so next to her front stoop and her back patio last year, she grew some vegetables, and it just gave her that sense of self accomplishment that it always does. And she realized it was food, and it does something for you, something positive. So I encouraged her to do that. Again, of course, you're not going to get a lot of supply from your stoop, but you learn how to grow, you learn what you need to do. She had some issues with some things like bunnies and stuff eating a couple of her things, but I would tell her, companion planting and what to plant. And so I'm hoping to get things like this instilled into the younger generation so that they have it, because I fully believe, it's my belief, we can all believe what we want, but I believe the time is going to come in our society, in this world, where we're going to need those skills again. You let things like that go by the wayside and they die, to time. You get a couple generations down and everything changes, and we're going to need it again. The time is coming where we're going to need to be self-reliant. Mom, you bought a large bottle of grapeseed oil and it was cheaper than olive oil, but of a good high heat. Yeah, they are, but they are just like sunflower oil, but they're seed oils. So be careful, and don't overdo it, because they can cause inflammation. I know that, but I mean, I use mine in moderation. Like I said, I'm using sunflower oil. That is a seed oil. Again, we do everything we can. We do what we can, but when things become cost prohibitive, yeah, this is what happens. But also, mom, like I did, and it's lasted me going on 3 years now. I bought a big container from Azure, and you can get it not in this big a container, but like at the store, of coconut oil, and it's hard like lard, but you can leave it in a cabinet, leave it sitting out on your cabinet. And just like with lard or bacon fat or whatever, just take a scoop of it, and it's much better for you. I do have a big, I think it's a huge container. It's lasted me 3 years so far. It lasts a very long time, and I've only used like a third of it. So that's also a good option too, and it's not near as expensive. Yeah, bacon grease and real butter. Don't be afraid to use those. They're great fats. Animal fats are great fats, and we were lied to about it and told to go on, these synthetic oils, and be better for our cholesterol and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? I didn't hear of people being as sick as we are now. Back when, we heard when I would listen to my grandmother talk about people and stuff, you know, if they got sick or they would get the flu or, you know, maybe have a bronchial infection, whatever, but it was not these chronic things. And if somebody did develop something in their older years that caused them to pass, well, you know, that is the natural course of things as well. And I am over, sorry guys, but the last three things was butter, powdered milk, and pasta. Now, butter and powdered milk, you're like, what? Because it's dairy. But what they were saying is that in some places that the milk that you get from cows is you can sell it for a higher price to people to make artisan cheeses and something else. And I'm sorry that I forgot that and didn't write it down, but they don't make as much money doing butter or powdered milk. So, you know, I always try to keep 18 pounds of butter in my freezer just because, you know, I do a lot of things by scratch. So, and pasta is just because it's gotten expensive. The durum wheat that is used to make good pasta, a lot of it came from Ukraine. And there we have it. We know what's going on there. So anyway, use that bacon grease and real butter, Mom. Nothing wrong with it. I use it, and I even have a jar of tallow in my refrigerator. So, guys, it has been great. I talked over my time, did not even realize it, and really enjoyed you guys tonight. Bree, feel better. Feel better. Good night. Get some rest. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys later in the week. Take care, everyone. Hi, Carolyn. I'm glad you're back from Mississippi. Thank you for joining. And I'll make sure to see you guys later in the week. All right. So until then, you guys take care. Bye.